Hello and welcome. This is You.Gov. If you want to find out what the government actually does, this is a program to watch. We talk about government functions and responsibilities, and we also talk about your obligations as a citizen. Yes, you have a duty to perform to any nation that you belong to because you owe allegiance to that nation. I'm Olomu-Agbodo. Thanks for joining us.
This week on EduBox, we will be taking a look at the state of the nation and matters arising in Nigeria, including trending issues bordering on governance. Governance comprises all of the processes of governing over a social system, whether through the laws, norms, power, or language of an organized society. It relates to the processes of interaction and decision-making. It could also be described as the political processes that exist in and between formal institutions. Governance is the way rules, norms, and actions are structured, sustained, regulated, and held accountable. Governance is vital for any nation's development as matters of security, welfare, amongst others, are affected. More to come on the show. Stay with us.
LoveWorld Plus website is your #1 trusted companion as we make sure we never leave you without a smile. Using a world-class design for an easier user experience across the world. We make sure that you get the freshest and latest news on our news platform. And on entertainment, we get you covered. Find out what's going on in the world of sports as we are there to give you numbers. And with our social affairs shows, we keep you in the know. Enjoy the Word of God each day, as one word from God will change your life forever. We also give you an opportunity to communicate with us through prayers and through your partnership. It's a whole new experience with the LoveWorld Plus website, as we help you create your own atmosphere everywhere you go. LoveWorld Plus, taking you beyond television.
You're welcome back. If you just joined us, this is You.Gov, and it's all about you and the government. First of all, I want to go to the street to get to find out what people on the streets are saying about the nation at the moment, because we're talking about matters arising in Nigeria. Particularly, we'll just say we're looking at state of the nation. So let's go to the streets. We'll be right back.
I think we should try to find a way to sort the differences and then put ourselves together. We have been together, we've been doing well together. I think we can still do better. The future is bright together.
We always have issues. We bring it to the table, we resolve it. But I think the problem is not even the unity. It's not even the people themselves. It's about the leadership. If the leadership can follow what it's right modicum of thinking, right modicum of doing things, of action, of reasoning, which is all encompassed in the Constitution. If you can follow the Constitution, if you can follow the right way, freedom, the right things of other countries, other world, other civilized countries doing their things, we will forget ethnicity.
It leads to our big men, our leaders, to put their head together to resolve the problem. Otherwise, if we create the state that ever you create, they will still have problem among themselves.
Quite interesting, we always get on the streets. A lot of people are not too comfortable with what is going on in Nigeria at the moment. A lot of people have concerns about workers' welfare, they have concerns about security and things like that. But we have a social affairs analyst, a public speaker, who will be talking about the state of the nation and, of course, preferring solutions and giving recommendations as to how to move the nation forward. He is Achike Chude. Take a listen.
Well, I think Nigeria, maybe some 3-4 years back, I would have said that Nigeria is in a very difficult place. But I think we've gone beyond that. I think we are in a dangerous place right now at this particular point in time. And I say so with a full understanding of the meaning of the word, dangerous. Of course, it has become very clear over the past few months and the past few years that the Nigerian state, when you talk of, the primary responsibility of government, first of all, which is security of lives and property, then you begin to talk about the welfare of the people. But security will seem to be the most important, because once a people are secured, then you can begin to talk about other aspects of their social and economic lives, how to improve on them and the rest. But when the people are not secured, then you can't be talking about such basic issues, about schools and all of that. The fact is that where we are today, we have a situation where the Nigerian state, has been increasingly weakened and is proving incapable of protecting the territorial integrity of this country. And that is the critical thing. Talking about most especially the northern part of this country, where Boko Haram has continued to have a field day for the past maybe 8 years or more, where kidnappers have made some very, very important road networks, almost impossible to pass by day or by night, no matter who you are. Then the activities of bandits also have contributed significantly to the lack of proper security in parts of the country. Then the activities of the Fulani herdsmen has also extended beyond the north and is encroaching other parts of the country like the southeast and the southwest. Beyond that again, you also have issues with kidnapping in parts of the south, southeast, southwest and the rest. And the fact that the police or the security agencies have been unable to stem the tide gives one the impression that we are living in very dangerous times. So we look at it from that perspective. Then at the socio-economic level, when you look at the indices of development, most unfortunately, Nigeria is in the negative. We have just been told that Nigerians are the most miserable in the world right now. About 94% of our people are living on less than $2 a day. So that gives you an idea, an indication of the grinding poverty, the very serious suffering that a lot of Nigerians are going through, at this time. And so when you look at it, then the only thing I can say maybe, and of course we all know the issue of suicides that's going on. It's unprecedented in the history of this country. We've not had it so bad. And then the number of people who are anxious to leave the shores of this country. This is the way, this is what Nigeria is now. But again, I cannot say that on the basis of all of this that we must refuse to be optimistic and be hopeful. We have to continue to show hope and optimism. Because when there is no hope, then there is nothing really left to look forward to. And so let us just, we have an election that was concluded a few months ago. We have some of the people at the both National and State House of Assembly, some of them are new. A lot of them are still people of the old, brigade who have been there for some time. You have a president and a political party that has been in power for the past 4 years. And people will tell you that in spite of their presence these past 4 years, that nothing meaningful has been done in terms of the economy. Like I just talked about, it's a very dire straits in terms of security. We're in a precarious situation. In terms of anti-corruption work, which was a cardinal element of going into the 2015 election. So all of these things are still there. But there's also the promise by the government that they understand that we are going through difficult times and that they are going to do their best to get Nigerians out of this difficulty. Whether they'll be able to do that is what we don't know. But a lot of people are pessimistic about the ability to do that. Well, I just identified one of the key issues, the key aspects of governance, the most critical, and that is the life and safety of Nigerians and their properties, and all of that. And so automatically, because you cannot do anything meaningful in the absence of security. If you are not safe, you cannot talk about other aspects of development, and social reconstruction. So the primary, if there's going to be any agenda for this government, the first priority should be to begin to secure, our territories from internal insurrection, from the insecurity that we are seeing in many parts of this country. So security is number one, and then beyond that, you begin to look at the welfare of the people. Nigerians are really finding things exceedingly tough. So you want a government that will tackle the issue of unemployment, a government that would tackle the serious inequality, economic inequality that is going on in this country. But most importantly, IT, you want a government that is able to unify, and that is the critical thing. We need a government, that is not divisive, a government that is able to unify the people so that we can channel all our energies, and bring them together and be able to move this country forward. It is said, of course, we are all aware of the maxim that united we stand, divided we fall. For a very, very long time, the political class in this country has continued to use identity politics as a basis to divide the people. Religion, geopolitics, and then, of course, ethnicity. So we need to begin to defy the ordinary people themselves. Need to know that if they act in unison, if they act in concert with one another, they can be able to protect everybody's interest. And in doing that, the entire country is protected. So this is what I would expect, that government would also go out of their way to begin to do things to de-escalate the tension that is in the land, and for the government to give us the impression, that it is a government of all, by all and for all. And so once that happens, it reduces the tension. That the growing, sometimes is the tension is knife edge. So it's almost as if you can cut it with a knife. We need to begin to de-escalate the tension in the country.
That was Achike Chude, a public speaker and a social affairs analyst, talking about the state of the nation. We'll go on a quick break. We'll be right back. Stay with us. You're welcome back. This is still You.Gov. Achike Chude will be talking about setting agenda for various aspects of the government, the legislature, the judiciary. How are judicial pronouncements going to be taken this time around, since we're having the same administration at the federal level, and it's going to be giving recommendations as to how to move the nation forward. You'll be talking about you as a citizen, your role to play in times like this. Take a listen.
Well, the reality is that our politicians have not exactly been matured when it comes to understanding the ideals and following the ideals, of democracy. The reality is that you have three arms of government, and you cannot say, with certainty that any particular arm of government is superior to the other. They are all supposed to be equal because they have different responsibilities, and they are also supposed to be interdependent of one another. But at the same time, since you're talking about one government, they are all supposed to work together. They are all supposed to, synergize, and work together for the good of the society, for the good of Nigerians. It is critical that in as much as we want serious cooperation between the arms of government, especially in this case, the executive and the legislature, so that they can harmonize a lot of things that they want to do for the good of everybody. But the reality is that you do not want a legislature that is hamstrung by the executive. It becomes exceedingly dangerous. We have seen for some time the tendency, for some kind of dictatorship at the level of the executive, where validly given court orders are disobeyed at will by the executive. You don't want an executive that would also tie the National Assembly to their apron strings. It becomes exceedingly very dangerous. I know that they have gone out of their way to work for a National Assembly, that is fashioned after their image. They want to be involved in selecting the leadership of the National Assembly and all of that. Fine, if they cooperate with them. I know Lawan has been is now the Senate President, and then Olomu-Agbodo. This is what the APC as a political party, the party in government wanted. But we must also realize that it is not just about having your own political party. I mean, in charge at the national level, even if, just as you're also in charge at the executive level. From 1999 to date, what has gone on in the past 4 years has not been new. We have always had these very serious disagreements between the legislature and the executive. The legislature has, an idea of how it thinks things should be done, and the executive also has an idea about how it thinks, things should be done. But I believe that they need to work together. While one is not expected to be subservient to the other, but they should work together. And then when it gets to a level where they need to say no to maybe what they feel might be the excesses of the executive, you want to believe that they'll be committed and patriotic enough to say no, that this is at variance with the promise or the promises we made to the Nigerian people. No, I do not think so. I do not think there will be anything significantly different, because the people who have flouted court orders for the past 4 years are still the people that are, very much in charge of the polity. So what has changed? Their mentality, their characteristics, the system? No, nothing has changed. So I'm worried, and the reality is that the judiciary has not been able to assert itself, because it is not as if the judiciary is completely hamstrung and lacks the ability to also, resist. Of course, they cannot fight back the way the legislature does, because they are meant to be seen and not heard, from. And so you want to believe that in terms of judicial pronouncements, that they will continue to be forthcoming, disagreeing with the government when it comes to issues of the law and how they think that the law should be run. The law should go. It is not the duty of the executive, it's the duty of the judiciary. But again, I guess that whenever a judiciary, especially when a matter gets to the level of the Supreme Court, and when they make a ruling, like they have done in the past, and the government refuses to obey, they do not expect the Chief Justice of Nigeria to come out and start shouting. The ball now lies with with the Nigerian people to try to insist that the proper thing must be done with the government, by the government with regards to the obedience of laws and order. If the government does not obey its own laws, You understand? What do they expect from the ordinary citizen ultimately at the end of the day? And so we want to expect that regardless of how, bad you feel a judicial pronouncement is, there is always a way that you must be able to go, around some of these things to get to the apex court. And once the apex court has made a ruling, regardless of what you feel about it, it remains, part of the laws of this country. Nigerians are like a conquered people, a beaten people. Sometimes you have the impression that they have been beaten so badly by the rain, and they've gone under the shade to see whether they could get some respite from the rain, and that's the impression you have with the kind of things that have happened in the country for so long. There is so much disillusionment, about governance and about the lives that they are living. But the reality is that they cannot afford to give up. Somebody has said that the price that we have to pay for democracy is eternal vigilance. And so we must make sure that regardless of what we face, regardless of the situation that we find ourselves, in, that the ability to change this country for the better lies with the people, not with the political class. Because especially when the political class has failed in discharging their responsibilities to the people, then the people who have put them in power also have a right, to assert themselves in a way, in a forceful manner, but working within the ambits of the law, in a way that tells these people that, look, the people have woken up and that they are ready to take, matters into their own hands. And I think that is what is needed. So my advice is to Nigerians, really, first of all, don't give up, don't lose hope. But at the same time, do not think that it's all about prayers. Prayers, are good, but prayers, we have been told, without works, are dead. So civil society organizations, labor, and professional groups and organizations must realize that this country belongs to every single person. And if we like, since the former French president Charles de Gaulle once said that wars are too important to be left in the hands of generals, I will posit that politics is too important to be left in the hands of politicians, especially the kind in Nigeria. And so all of us, it presupposes that all of us must do whatever it takes, must do all that is necessary to get much more involved in the politics of this country, so that we can take the initiative away from the people who have failed us.
Well, quite interesting. Every citizen has a duty to pray for the nation that they belong to. Even the Bible says, pray for the nation where you live in, because if your nation is at peace, you also will be at peace. We have some more tidbits for you. That's the much we can take this week on You.Gov. I hope you're able to get insights into what we talked about this week. We talked about the state of the nation, Nigeria, and Achike Chude, our guest on the show, preferred solutions. He made some recommendations to move Nigeria forward. If you have comments for us, we'd like you to log on to our website on www.loveplus.tv, and you can send comments to numbers that'll be showing on your screen now. I am Olomu-Agbodo. Bye for now.